Hey, I'm Mark from Performance Bicycle, and I'm going to show you how to replace disc brake pads today. We're using a Shimano Deore XT disc brake as an example, so that how the pad is retained inside the caliper and how the pad exits the caliper, be it either through the top or through the bottom, is going to change a little bit from brand to brand. But the fundamentals of things you need to do as you change the pads are the same. So there'll be if you're doing your own pads, you may run into a couple of different things as far as the pads dropping out of the bottom of the caliper versus the top on these, but the methodology is the same. So first thing you want to do is get the wheel out of the bike, and so you're not dealing with all that and the rotor's not in between the brake pads. And then the next thing you want to do is remove the pin that holds the pads in place. On this one, there's a small clip on the back which comes out, and then the front side is a 3mm Allen bolt. You just remove both of those and set them to the side because you're going to put those back in at the end. To get the pads out, like I said, some exit through the top and some exit through the bottom. These come out of the top, so you can just, if you want to stick your finger in there and get them started, you can press them up. You can grab the top and slide them out. I'm changing today from resin brake pads to metal brake pads, so I'm not really replacing a set of completely worn out pads, but you may do this because you want to change the braking characteristics. If you are replacing worn pads, you should be okay in terms of the brakes needing to be bled or not, if the brakes weren't bled when you had really worn pads in there. If that was done, then you're probably going to have the pistons pushed out far enough that the new pads are going to be too narrow when you put them in. We're working on the assumption though that hasn't been done and that you're just replacing a set of worn pads that were bled originally when the brakes were brand new. So just set the old pads to the side, and at this point you want to press the pistons in the caliper fully back into their seat. The safest way to do that is with something that's not a real sharp edge, so you don't want to use a screwdriver or a wrench. I usually use a tire lever. Plastic tire lever works really well. You just stick it in to the brake caliper and push the opposing piston to the side. It'll only take a little pressure, and that way when you drop the new pads in, they'll be open as wide as they can be. Okay, so you've pushed the pistons back in to the caliper, and you want to carefully install the new pads. Here's the trick. You don't want to touch the braking surface of the pads, so you don't want to get the oils from your finger on there. So just handle the pad so that you don't touch the braking surface. So you have one pad, the pad retaining clip that goes between the two, just drop it on there. And then the second pad goes on top of that. And now you've got the pad retaining clip between them, and you can just squeeze them together and drop them back down into the caliper. That. It's real simple. At this point, you just want to replace the pin that holds them in place. Tighten that back down. And then put the safety clip back on that pad holder. Okay, at this point, you've got the new pads in. When you slide your wheel back into place, you'll probably have a little extra space between the pads and the rotor because you've pushed the pistons back in. Squeeze the brake a few times, and that'll bring the pistons back to their correct position. And you may also have to slightly adjust the side-to-side play on the brake caliper to get it centered back over the rotor. That's done with these two bolts, and the caliper is slotted from side to side. So you just loosen these two up, center it over the rotor, and then snug these back down to torque spec. And you're good to go. You've got new brake pads. Okay, so that's it for replacing your brake pads. It's a pretty simple job. If you have any further questions, feel free to call our 1-800 tech support number and talk to a spin doctor, or go by your local Performance Bicycle shop and talk to a technician there.